Walt Disney World is canceling their trademark Disney's Magical Express service. Yes, you heard that right. Hey everyone, John from Big Dreams Travel here, and today that's what we're going to talk about. Well, that and a few other big announcements that Disney made this week. Stay tuned and get the story and our thoughts on visiting Disney World this year and in the years to come. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Make sure that if you like all of this travel-related content, you like our video and hit the subscribe button down below, and we'll continue to do some of these for you. Well, as many of you may have heard, Disney World made some major announcements, and the major part of it that happened this week was that they announced that as of December 31st, at the end of this year, 2021, there will no longer be Disney's Magical Express airport transportation. So for those of you that don't know, this is the transportation that is a free inclusion in any Disney World package if you booked a Disney Resort hotel that transported you from Orlando International Airport to your Walt Disney World Resort. Well, first of all, let's look at what Disney actually said about this change. You see, the official statement that Disney said was that vacationers have more options to choose from than ever for transportation, including rideshare services that save time and offer more flexibility to go where they want, when they want. In light of this shift, when Disney Resort hotel bookings open for stays in 2022, we will no longer offer Disney's Magical Express service for airport transportation starting with arrivals of January 1st, 2022. So what can we take from that for us as Disney fans? Well, if you're traveling in 2021, Magical Express service from the Orlando International Airport will still be available to you. If you're planning a trip after that point, well, that's where you're going to be on your own at this point. At least that's what we know right now. We also know that at this point, other transportation options around Disney World, the monorail, the boats, the buses from your resort to the theme park, or the new Skyliner, those will all continue in their current state. This announcement just affects transportation from the Orlando International Airport. That transportation was actually operated by Mears, which was an outside transportation company that Disney had a contract with. So as we look into things a little deeper, what could this change mean, and what was Disney thinking? Well, first, it's probably very likely this was a change that has been in the works for some time, and one that Disney is making for business reasons. What they said about rideshare services and all sorts of different options to get to your resort, that may not be the full story that Disney's giving us. They're not always going to tell us the full story because they are a business. But I think that probably does play a pretty major role in this decision. Now, what I think is frustrating to some Disney fans is that Disney's own statement was written in a way to make it sound like this is going to be great for you as travelers, when in fact it's probably going to now be an added cost to travelers instead of included in the price of their hotel room. Now, we all know that that Magical Express service for all these years, it hasn't really been free. It's been included in that rate of your hotel, which is slightly more expensive than what you would pay at an off-site hotel. And we really doubt that Disney is now going to lower hotel rates because they're not providing this service. Again, this was a business decision that Disney has made. Now, as a travel agent, I will say that probably over 90% of our travelers use Magical Express service. And not only that, it's a huge perk to someone staying on site at Disney World. You know, I might even argue that it's one of the biggest perks to staying on site. It saves money on your transportation. You typically don't have to rent a car if you're using Magical Express. You don't have to pay to park that car at the resort. And you can use Disney transportation to get all over property. So it was a big perk, and it will be through 2021. Now, with all of that said, I'm a little bit optimistic on this as I think about it more. I do think Disney probably has something up their sleeves in regards to getting guests to Disney World. I mean, it's only to Disney's benefit to have guests on their property without a vehicle. It makes guests spend more money at Disney. And if they don't have a vehicle to get off property, they're going to spend money only at Disney. And so that's why I think there has to be something coming, down the road here in the years to come. And I also think that's why they may have announced this so early in the year. You see, as travel agents, we know that Disney doesn't typically release the following year to book packages until around July. So based on what Disney has done historically, we still have another 5 months or so from when I'm making this video and from when this announcement was made until when we can even book into 2022. So why did they announce this so early? Well, it may simply be that it would have been harder for them to set up a separate service or a new project that they're going to use to fill this void without letting the cat out of the bag in regards to Magical Express. And Disney wanted to be the ones controlling what information was released. Again, just a thought, but I think the timing of this has a lot of people wondering, why did they do this so early when we can't book 2022 for another 5 months? Unless that changes. Now, let me address another rumor here that some of you may have heard, and that is what we call the Brightline high-speed rail that is said to be coming. Well, there are plans for a station at Disney Springs for this new train service, this high-speed rail option. But that service does not going to happen, and that station will not happen until the main line, and this main line for this service goes from Miami to Orlando International Airport. And that is not even scheduled to be finished until later on in 2022. So we're probably talking well into 2023 or beyond before we ever have anything done that's going to benefit people coming to Disney Springs or to Walt Disney World. So I don't think at this point that that's the main motivation for this change from Disney. I think if it was, we wouldn't be seeing this happen quite so early. Now, that's not to say this Brightline high-speed rail train option may not be a good idea or option for travelers down the road. I just don't think it's certainly not going to be an option when 2022 travel begins, and it will probably be a little while before this happens, and there's a lot of other things to consider on that. So bottom line, Disney has made this decision. But as Disney fans and people who travel to Walt Disney World, I think my thought at this point is I'm not going to lose too much sleep over this change right now. I may be wrong, and like I said, I'm optimistic, but I think Disney wants people in their hotels. They don't want them staying off-site. They are going through some struggles right now because their hotels are very low occupancy because of this COVID pandemic situation. And I think Disney's going to want to do whatever they can to get people back into their hotels going forward. We'll see what happens with that down the road. Now, there was one other, what I would call a pretty big announcement that Disney announced this week, and that was the permanent removal of the Extra Magic Hours benefit, which is a program that has been halted since COVID arrived about 10 months ago, and now we learn this program will not return. So this is the program that allowed Disney resort guests to enter one theme park per day, either an hour early or stay 2 hours late based on the schedule. Bottom line, another big perk of staying on site has been taken away. And I think that is what is, again, frustrating many longtime Disney fans. Now, to me, Extra Magic Hours isn't a huge loss because we typically recommend that guests avoid that Extra Magic Hours park. Because in the past, we've seen that park has a tendency to draw much bigger crowds, especially early and late in the day, than the other three parks. And so the benefit of the extra time in the park was typically outweighed, we felt, by an increase in park attendance and wait times. And so I think the frustration, again, for Disney fans is that it's another perk that's been taken away, and many of these things that have been taken away have yet to be replaced with anything. This one was replaced, though, with a perk, although it may be a slightly less valuable perk. They have introduced a new program, and Disney has called it this week the Early Theme Park Benefit, where all 4 parks will open 30 minutes early for resort guests every day. All 4 theme parks will open 30 minutes early. Now, this is a nice gesture from Disney, and it may very well turn into a nice benefit. I think what's a struggle for me at this point to understand this is that right now, if you go to Disney World, and it's been this way for a couple years, most parks already open 30 to 60 minutes early right now anyway. So I'm not sure how much of an added benefit to that we are currently going to get, other than it will only be Disney resort guests that can go in. Now, I don't want to be negative about this for the time being. I'm a little skeptical of this idea, and I think it may be something that we don't see it in that form for very long. It may simply be used to help during this COVID pandemic situation and then modified going forward. Disney's also not released a start date for these early entry hours. They just said it would be available later during this year for their 50th anniversary celebration. Now, we know the 50th anniversary is October 1st of 2021, but we don't know when that celebration or those activities will start. You know, overall, we've seen some things taken away by Disney in the last few days, and I know that frustrates Disney fans. And we've seen some other things even in past months that have been taken away. And most of these things at this point won't be coming back. But with that said, I think Disney has some great things in the works for the future. I think there's going to be some new and improved perks announced as we get closer to 2022 and toward the 50th anniversary later this year. And I think what I'm trying to remember is I'm not going to judge Disney or be too negative about things while this pandemic situation is still active. Once this is over, I think we're going to see Disney unveil some of those new and improved perks that they're working on. It's just too early during this situation, and the pandemic is still happening right now around the U.S. and around the world, and Disney has to make sure everything fits within those parameters, the safety parameters, before they can announce these new programs. As always, we will stay on top of all of the changes, and we're going to continue to work with those of you who let us help plan your fantastic family vacations. We love doing it. Have a great day, everyone, and keep dreaming of future travels.